She caught it for less than a second, a reflection in the hallway mirror smiling at her before her own face had finished deciding to. By the time she blinked, it was gone, and she told herself she'd imagined it. She would spend the next 7 nights learning exactly how wrong she was. Chapter 4. The Empty Chapter. The house had 6 mirrors in it, and she had never once counted them until the night she needed to. It started small, the way these things always do. Small enough to dismiss, small enough to blame on a long week and too little sleep. She was brushing her teeth at 11 at night, half watching her own tired reflection in the bathroom mirror, when the corner of her mouth in the glass lifted a fraction of a second before her own did. She stopped, stared. Her reflection stared back, ordinary and unsmiling. Toothbrush frozen mid-motion, exactly as it should be. She decided it was nothing. Fatigue did strange things to perception. She had read that somewhere, or told herself she had, and went to bed without thinking about it again. The second night, she noticed the mirror in the hallway held her reflection a beat too long after she'd already turned away. She was walking toward the kitchen, not looking at the mirror at all, when she caught its edge in her peripheral vision. And something about the angle felt wrong, felt delayed, the way a video call lags a half-second behind the person speaking. She turned back deliberately this time, arms crossed, and studied her reflection with the flat suspicion of someone testing a theory she didn't want confirmed. It matched her perfectly. Every movement instant and correct. She almost laughed at herself. Almost. But some old animal part of her brain refused to fully release the tension in her shoulders as she walked away. And this time, she didn't look back to check if the reflection had followed. By the third night, she'd started avoiding the hallway mirror the way you avoid a person you've had a small, unspoken falling out with. She told herself this was ridiculous. It was glass and silver backing. It had no opinions about her. And yet she caught herself timing her walk past it, choosing the wall side of the corridor, keeping her eyes forward. That was the night she noticed the bedroom mirror had moved. Not far. An inch, maybe less. Its angle shifted just enough that it now caught a sliver of the doorway it hadn't caught before. She stood in front of it for a long moment, trying to remember if she'd bumped it, if the house had settled, if there was any ordinary explanation at all for a heavy, wall-mounted mirror rotating a single degree on its own. She adjusted it back. She told herself that was the end of it. It was not the end of it. On the 4th night, sleep wouldn't come, and she found herself standing in the dark hallway at nearly 2 in the morning, drawn there by nothing she could name, the way you're drawn to check a door you already know is locked. The house was silent in the particular way old houses are silent, full of small, settling sounds that only seem loud because everything else has gone still. She looked at the hallway mirror. Her reflection was smiling. Not a flicker this time. Not a trick of tired eyes and bad lighting. A full, deliberate smile, warm and wrong, stretched across a face that was unmistakably hers, and yet held an expression she had not made, was not making, could feel with total certainty was not currently on her own face. She raised a hand to her mouth, felt her lips, flat and still, pressed together in the ordinary shape of fear. The reflection's smile widened. She didn't remember deciding to run. She only remembered being in her bedroom with the door shut, back pressed against it, heart slamming so hard she could feel it in her throat. And even then, some small, traitorous corner of her mind was already working to rationalize what she'd seen. Sleep deprivation, pareidolia. the mind's endless hunger to find faces and meaning in nothing at all. She almost believed it. She wanted, badly, to believe it. But she noticed, lying awake until dawn, that she had angled her body so she could not see her own reflection in the dark window glass across the room. By the 5th day, she'd stopped trusting anything reflective. She covered the bathroom mirror with a towel before showering. She avoided the microwave door, the black screen of the turned-off television, the glossy surface of the framed photograph in the living room. Each one, she realized with a slow, creeping horror, was a mirror in its own way. Each one could hold something looking back that wasn't quite her. She called her sister that afternoon, needing to hear an ordinary voice say ordinary things, and found herself unable to explain what was happening without sounding, even to her own ears, like someone unraveling. She said she wasn't sleeping well. She said the house felt strange lately. She did not say that she had watched her own reflection smile at her without permission, because saying it out loud would make it a fact instead of a fear, and she was not ready for it to become a fact. Her sister told her to get some rest. She said she would. She did not. That night, the 6th night, she woke at 3:14 in the morning to the absolute certainty that she was being watched. The bedroom mirror, the one she'd adjusted back into its proper angle 3 nights before, now faced her bed directly. Its angle shifted again, deliberately this time, unmistakably, tilted exactly enough to catch her sleeping form and nothing else. She lay frozen, eyes open, watching her own reflection in the dark glass. It was not lying down. It stood at the edge of the mirror's frame, upright, in a room where she herself remained flat on the mattress, and it watched her with an expression of patient, hungry interest, the way you might watch something you were waiting for to finish sleeping. She did not scream. She would later wonder why she hadn't, and settle on the theory that some fears are too large for sound, that the body simply shuts down the parts of itself that would normally respond, leaving only stillness and a held breath and the desperate, sliding hope that if she didn't move, it wouldn't either. It moved anyway. It raised one hand, slow, unhurried, and pressed its palm flat against the inside of the glass, and smiled at her with an expression made entirely of teeth. She fled the house before sunrise and did not go back for 2 full days. She stayed with her sister, slept on a stranger's couch of a life that had briefly stopped belonging to her, and told herself, in the flat gray light of the second morning, that whatever this was, she could not keep running from it. Fear that goes unexamined only grows teeth of its own. She needed to understand what she'd seen, or she needed to be certain it had never been real at all. She returned home on the 7th night with her phone's camera held up in front of her like a small, useless shield, recording everything, needing proof for herself as much as for anyone else who might one day ask her to explain. The house felt different the moment she stepped inside. Not hostile. Something worse than hostile. Expectant. She walked the hallway first, phone raised, and the mirror there showed her exactly what it should. Her own face, drawn and exhausted. Phone lifted, nothing more. She almost laughed with the relief of it. Almost let herself believe the last week had been exactly what she'd wanted it to be. Stress, fatigue, an overtired mind performing tricks on itself in the dark. Then she reached the bedroom. The mirror on the far wall did not show her reflection at all. It showed the room behind her, empty, the bed unmade, the door standing open. Every detail correct except for one. She was not standing in it. The mirror's version of the room contained no version of her whatsoever, as though the glass itself had simply decided she wasn't important enough to include. She turned around to check the real room behind her, half expecting to find herself gone from that too, unraveling out of her own life from the inside. She was still there. Whole. Present. Real, as far as she could tell. She turned back to the mirror. Her reflection had returned, but it was not looking at the empty bedroom behind it anymore. It was looking directly at her, and it was no longer smiling. It looked afraid. It mouthed something at her, urgent and silent, lips shaping words she couldn't hear through the glass, and she found herself leaning closer, despite every instinct screaming at her not to, needing, desperately, to understand what her own reflected face was trying so hard to warn her about. She read the shape of the words just as the glass fogged over from the inside, obscuring everything behind it. 2 words. Simple. Impossible. It's not you. The fog cleared a moment later, and the mirror held only an ordinary reflection once more. Her own face, tired and pale, and entirely still, smiling now with an expression she recognized, sickeningly, as one she had never once made in her life, but had seen every single night this week, waiting for her in the glass. She has not looked directly into a mirror since. She keeps every reflective surface in the house covered now, sheets over glass, towels over screens, and she tells herself this is enough, that whatever wears her face on the other side of the silver cannot reach her if she simply refuses to look. But she has started noticing in the corner of her eye, in the black window at night, in the curve of a spoon left on the counter, the faint impression of movement where there should be none. And she's begun to wonder, in the long hours before dawn when sleep will not come, which version of her stepped back out of that bedroom on the 7th night, the one who had always lived there, or the one who had simply learned at last how to smile correctly.